Hello, welcome to natemareflix. I am Nate, you are you, and this is my brother Jared, who's possibly the biggest Rocky fan I know. So I had to bring him along because there is some pretty huge Rocky/Creed news right about now. So first off, Jared, just to let everybody know where you come from, what is your favorite Rocky movie?
Rocky 2. Rocky 3 for the longest time, but going back, Rocky 2 is the best.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I thought Rocky 4 was my favorite, and then I recently watched it with Carissa, and I was like, oh,
we can all change.
You can change, and I can change. I was like, I see what they're going for. I understand why you get caught up in it, but as a grown man, I'm like, it's just a bit cheesy. But everybody obviously loves Rocky. I mean, the two of us, we actually went to Philly. We did the whole, we ran the steps, we saw the statue, all of that. And I remember, I mean, there were people there running the steps. You could tell I haven't had cardio in 25 years, and they're still willing to go get their jog on because of Rocky. That's how much of an inspiration Rocky is. I would say one of the best American movie characters of all time. One of the most inspirational. I mean, this man had a poster on your wall.
I got the shorts.
Yeah, you got the Apollo shorts with the American flag.
It's a good look.
So I'm saying, so how then can you have a movie in this franchise with no Rocky? Ladies and gentlemen, that is the news here. They're thinking about doing Creed 3 with no Slyvester Stallone. At all. Not talking like little cameo and then he's going to go off and do his own thing. No, just no Rocky at all. How does that strike you as a Rocky fanboy?
Contradictory. So in the fifth movie, Rocky had written it, not Rocky, Stallone had written it for Rocky to die at the end. And the studio told him no, made him rewrite it, and that movie sucks because the ending doesn't live up to what it was supposed to be. Then now they're saying, okay, now we're not necessarily saying they're going to kill him, but they might as well have. He's not in the movie. He has cancer.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have this thing where, and he's meant too much to Creed's career and his own legacy that he's forging. You can't then just like skip over him and just really quickly be like, oh yeah, me and Rocky had a falling out. Or, Rocky's dealing with cancer again. He's back home. You can't do that. I mean, the first Creed, I love that movie. I watched that with our dad and Rick. Three men trying to have a macho movie night watching a boxing film, and that moment is one of Stallone's best performances. I remember all of us just kind of being like, I'm good. But it just hits you because Stallone was the best part of that film. That's some of his best acting. He really got all of that emotion across, and you need Rocky. He's the heart of everything. I don't feel that with this Adonis Creed character. I don't get any sense of heart. I don't really feel inspired by him per se. He kind of is a prick at times.
Yeah. Watching him is like watching way more Odell Beckham than you ever wanted to see. And as a Giants fan, I could say you don't want to watch it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Floyd Mayweather. If we're gonna do like a real life boxing comparison, it's like, okay, even if he's great and all that, that's fine, but I don't want to follow Floyd Mayweather around.
He's not the focal point.
No, he's kind of a despicable person. And this guy, I know you have his girlfriend or his wife, and she has her going deaf issues, and she wants to be a singer, and that stuff's interesting, and that stuff, that's emotional, but it's pretty much like you like everybody around him, and you have a hard time getting me on board with him. When you look at Creed 2, I don't know about you, but his opponent, I like him more in some aspects. I thought that was a really interesting villain. The way they set him up, he was intriguing, and he was kind of a gray character. I was like, oh, he's not actually bad. And I kind of, if he was born into this situation, I kind of want it for him more than I want it for Adonis.
And then the thing that we don't like about Adonis Creed isn't true about his father. And his father has the same, it's an older generation, it's a different decade, but he was that showy, that he was Muhammad Ali, whereas you have more of a Floyd Mayweather with Adonis. But Apollo Creed, one of my favorite characters in any movie. Adonis Creed, I don't want to watch it, especially without Rocky.
So it just doesn't quite hit me right. And let's also touch on why you can't do this is because this is a franchise to me that is unlike any other. When you look at that first film, it won an Academy Award, and it's because Slyvester Stallone was all in. He bet the house on this thing. He bet on himself. He wrote this script. He directed it. He starred in it. Put it all on the table and then just lampoon him into stardom. And you have all these other classics that came after it that everybody loves and quotes. You think about soundtracks. This has impacted music history, movie history, and just American culture, like that statue in Philly that people are coming from all over. Like I talked about, you tell they're not even into fitness, but they'll run some steps for Rocky. I ran hung over in cowboy boots. I ran the steps with you for Rocky. And so you can't just treat him that badly. You can't just sweep him under the rug or bypass him, especially when he's been the best part of the first 2 Creed films. That rubs me the wrong way. I can't even think of like a comparison. I wanted to be like, it'd be like if you had a Batman movie.
About Robin.
Just Robin, and they never mentioned Batman. Not so much as like hey, whatever happened to Batman? They're like, nah, it doesn't matter. But that's not even the same because Batman didn't write and direct Batman. So that's what I'm saying. This is a one-of-a-kind thing, and I understand that maybe Stallone is to blame a little bit for this because I heard some rumors that like with Creed 2, he wanted to actually have Rocky fight in it in some capacity. And I don't. Does that interest you? No, I think they went the right way. So that's not what I'm saying here.
Grudge match 2.
Right. It's too much. You already did that with Rocky Balboa, where you tried to make us like suspend our disbelief of having this aged boxer come back and fight a guy in his prime. And I think you handled it as good as you were going to. Mm-hmm. That's about the best product you could put out with that. How old is he now? Like 70 something?
I think he's in his 80s. And he has an 8-pack.
Okay, shot fine, but no athletic commission in the world is letting his old ass into a ring. So I was like, we don't need to see that. I don't need to see.
Well, and they adopted it the way they should have. He's still a fighter, but he's battling cancer.
Right.
So he's still a fighter, but we don't need the physical manifestation of that.
Right.
So
yeah, those they had a really beautiful story with some beautiful emotion in it, and you still got the fight in the end. They handled it so well. At this point, I don't need to see Rocky fighting literal physical fights. I don't want that. And so they're talking about Rocky may continue, but you may have a fork here where they split and go opposite directions, where you have the Creed franchise and you have the Rocky franchise. And neither one, I don't think either one is satisfying all the way. Like we talk about the problems with the Creed thing, and we talk about the problems of going with just Rocky. I don't want to see an old man fighting. That's silly.
And that's the evolution of fighting. Keeping them together makes all the sense in the world. You fight until you can't, and then you teach. You take your bumps and bruises, then you teach other people how to avoid bumps and bruises.
Yeah, I mean, to look into like real fight right now, I don't know how many people who watch this channel are into like MMA or UFC, but like there's a guy named Khabib who's like the greatest fighter in the world, retired undefeated because his father died, and now he's transitioned into coaching. And he has a bunch of young fighters who, under his tutelage, are looking like they're going to take over the scene, and that's going to be his next step in his legacy. He's filling the mantle left by his father. He's going to be an all-time great coach after being an all-time great fighter. And he's going to give us the next best thing. And that's what you could do with Rocky, like you're saying. And that's what he's been doing with Adonis. Because you saw what happened with Adonis when he didn't have Rocky. You know, when he had other coaching, it didn't work. So there's something to be said for that. That's still greatness. And then you touched on not being able to get the Rocky 5 he wanted Rocky to die. So I'm like, don't just force feed us one more Rocky movie where we're going to have an old-ass Rocky get put down.
Yeah, no.
I don't want that. I don't need that. If we're going to do that, then you might as well do a Creed movie where he does unfortunately succumb to cancer finally. Because it's going to rip our hearts out. But if you're going to absolutely make us watch Rocky die, I think that's the way you have to do it.
And it works for Adonis, because Adonis is looking for his father figure, and, you know, he's trying to live up to that Apollo name, but, you know, that's his father. Rocky's his daddy, you know.
Who's your daddy?
So, I mean, that would actually be
who's your daddy?
he didn't have that tie to his actual father, but he has that relationship with Rocky.
Right.
So to have that moment on screen would mean everything. But just to say, you know, it happens off screen, you're doing an injustice.
It's such injustice, and it just kind of spits in the face of everything that's come before it. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why you do that. And do you want to see that? Would that work for you anyway, seeing Rocky die, even if it was a cancer thing? Or would you rather just not make another film if that's what it means?
I'd like to see it, but they have to handle it very well. It has to be like a passing of the torch, and then they do need to redeem Adonis a little bit. I understand, you know, maybe there's another community that really likes Adonis, but you need to make him more palatable to a wider audience.
Yeah.
If you do that and you're okay, you were rooting for this guy, okay, you know, he's Rocky Part 2, or he's a mix of Rocky and Apollo, cool, but as he stands right now, no.
Yeah, and like, I didn't see that in the second film anyway. Like, you want to do that, you want to make that transition, you need to have a proper send-off. We haven't had enough yet to where we can just go straight into another film completely without even like a pop-in from Slyvester Stallone. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. I'm right there with you on that one. I don't know, guys. Be sure to comment down below. What do you think about this news? Would you go see a Creed 3? Jared, would you go see a Creed 3 without Slyvester Stallone? Would you still check it out if the trailer looked good?
Oh, I have to. Even if the trailer doesn't. I mean, if I watch Rocky 5 and Rocky Balboa, I'm going to see whatever they put out.
Yeah, that's my thing. As salty as I kind of was when I first heard this, I was
We're
like,
gonna pay him anyway.
I was like, screw this, screw Adonis Creed. I'm totally against him. If in his next fight he dies, he dies. That's kind of how I felt about things. But I was like, in my heart, I know if there's like a lot of hype around this movie, people are like, it's so good, and it's got like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm gonna have to check it out. I may not be there opening night like I think we were for the last Creed.
And let's not count Adonis out, because if I can change and you can change, Adonis can change.
I'm sorry, I should cut off right there. That was perfect. But I just got one more question. Who should he fight in the next Creed movie if there's no Rocky? Should they create a new opponent for him?
They need to create a new opponent.
Right? Because I keep seeing people be like, well, you should fight Clubber Lang's boy. You can't not have Rocky there and be like, we're just going to keep using all of Rocky's legacy, all of his opponents.
And, I mean, no. I mean, Clubber Lang was, Clubber Lang, I think it plays up. It's not all that realistic, I guess, kind of, and if he's put it on a persona. But I don't want to know what, like an offspring of that would be.
What Clubber Jr. looks like.
Yeah, no. CJ.
Yeah.
I don't need to see that.
I would be interested in the cast for that. That could be pretty fun stunt casting, though.
Very true. Yeah.
That could be cool. Like, I think it's more about just the ethical side of it, or if that's even the right word. Like, it could be entertaining, but it's also a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to have his own legacy, but he's only fighting the sons.
Yeah, it gets into that like Star Wars thing where everybody's a Skywalker.
Yeah, we just can't create any new characters. Everybody has to be related to somebody. You're right. It's crazy, especially because the boxing scene's so big. That's a global sport. It's not even like he's just fighting within the U.S. He fought a Russian in the last one. His next fighter could be from like Mexico or something like that. They have a proud fighting tradition there. That would be interesting. I say create a new, interesting antagonist, just like they did in the Rocky series over and over again.
I mean, honestly, if you're going to have Adonis as that Floyd Mayweather, give us a Pacquiao.
There you go.
I mean, that'd be awesome. And it's primarily minority-driven story, which for this day and age is amazing. It's what you're looking
giving
for.
chances to other people.
Yeah.
No, that would work. So Clubber Lang Jr., I could see the temptation, but I think here natemareflix we're saying, nah, they give us something else. Also, let's work this out, guys. Creed and Slyvester Stallone. Let's make this work. We're not interested in a Rocky film at this point. And we're also not interested in a Creed movie that doesn't do proper credit to Rocky. So there you go. Be sure to comment your thoughts down below. Other than that, hope you had a fantastic day. I'm Nate for natemareflix saying that's a wrap.